People who just up and left one day and started a new life. What was your experience like? I'm about to do this on Friday with only a suitcase cause I've been fired and homelessness is coming. Any suggestions on where to go? Edit. Boss decided to rescind his decision after his 2 weeks notice of firing me. Holy macaroni, this is fantastic. Also, I live where I work, so that's why I was facing homelessness on Friday. Also, these are all great tips and may look into and do that after I leave where I currently am, hopefully on my own terms. Try that almost homeless subreddit. You got this. I say go warm if you can, cause if you're going to be homeless or depressed, doing it somewhere the sun is shining is best. I hid out in Mexico on a beach cheap for a few months, ended up finding a city I loved and moved there for 2 years. Now I just have regular depression, but no seasonal depression lol. I have an older cousin in Mexico who I've never met and no one tells me the true story of why he's there. So this is more or less my headcanon for him, he's some sort of secret agent on the run. Volunteer with AmeriCorps NCCC or any volunteer or seasonal position doing low-wage work with room and board included on Indeed. If you're in the US, find a job at night so you stay occupied/have income and save up money. During the day, sleep at a library. You can use the bathroom to clean up and use their computer for resumes and job searching. For over 10 years, libraries have been homeless shelters. It's sad, but very important to have reliable internet. I did this a year and a half ago. Best thing I've ever done. Moved from Western New York to Arizona. It was tough at first with trying to get on my feet, and when I did, the pandemic started. But it's easier to do than most people think. I believe most people don't do it because of the unknown and scared of change. For me, I'm happier than I've ever been. I have a really good paying job. The best paying job I've ever had actually. And the first job I've ever had that I enjoy going to. I'm 34, so that's saying something. And to live where I live, views of mountains, beautiful weather, it's just a dream come true. Everyone moving to Arizona. I did get a job before moving to Phoenix in January, but I did up and go with no friends or family out here. Got a job and started 2 weeks later, moving my entire life? Literally just did something similar 3 weeks ago. Moved from Iowa to Phoenix and my life hasn't been this good in years. I haven't been this happy with what's going on in my life in so long and it's so refreshing. I luckily had some family to support me through the transition, and it's been a little rocky, but I'm so glad I made the leap. Good on you, friend. 4 years ago, I abruptly quit a job I had worked for 7.5 years that I finally had to admit was a dead end. I got a job at a lodge in a national park flipping burgers for minimum wage. I didn't know a single person there when I moved. But it quickly led to traveling to amazing places like Alaska and making lots of friends from all over the world. The experience gave me the confidence to really pursue my career goals, and last year I finally got my dream job. Nothing good happens in your comfort zone. Edit. I've never had a comment get nearly this much feedback, and I regret the wording of that last sentence, which I didn't think through. It was more aimed at those who are feeling stuck and have big dreams but are afraid to make a change. There's nothing wrong at all with being happy with what you have, and with having a more stable existence. In fact, I'm really looking forward to settling down soon and having a more comfy life. I'm sorry my wording came off kind of judgmental. That was not my intention. To answer some questions that are coming up, I'm working as an illustrator and designer for the national parks. It was a really difficult road, working crappy kitchen jobs and working/volunteering on the side to build my resume. Financially, working seasonally can be difficult, and I was scraping by for a few years until I got my current job. It was the right choice for me, but maybe not for everyone. Nothing good happens in your comfort zone. That hit me pretty hard. I'm definitely not a risk taker, and I crave stability. But someday maybe I'll take the plunge and do something spontaneous like dropping everything and moving somewhere new and exciting. One can dream. Someone once told me, to get something you don't have, you have to do something you haven't done before. It helps to think of the goal when you first step out of your comfort zone. Someone once told me, to get something you don't have, you have to do something you haven't done before. I needed that this morning. I really take issue with the wording here. Maybe nothing exciting happens in your comfort zone, but I live a really good life in my comfort zone every day. I admit it took some moments of leaving my comfort zone to get where I am, but please don't think your life isn't good because it's comfortable. Comfort is a nice thing to have. I think this attitude is more helpful for people who feel stuck in a bad/mediocre situation, but are worried that change may be worse. If things are going well, then it's not so much of an issue. I have the same tendencies and can so relate. As a challenge, I try to push myself outside of my comfort zone in little ways to grow as a person. But it is hard when it's not a natural feeling to do so. What is your dream job? Flipping burgers in a national park? Flipping burgers in a national park for above minimum wage. Flipping burgers for a living wage. Considering the mention of Alaska as an amazing place, as someone currently in Alaska, I have to say that anything that relies on the internet is not it. Great story. Thinking about this myself. You were smart in that you had a job, even a small one, already lined up where you could walk onto the minute you set foot on the place. Even a small job means contacts and networking. I did this last year. Granted, I stayed in the same state. It was terrifying and exciting all rolled into one. I quit my job without having another one. Sold my house without having a home. Packed everything my son and I owned and moved 3 hours away. Best decision ever. It made me feel like I could do it again if I ever wanted to. The world is so big, so it was empowering. Edit. I grew up in the country, lived in the same county for 31 years, and moved to the city. 3 hours away may not seem like much, but it was a huge change. It made me feel like I could do it again if I ever wanted to. I think that's a very important line there. Having done it before, you know you can always do it again in the future. I'm sure that gives a peace of mind knowing that. I grew up this way. I went to 10 different schools. Moving and restarting doesn't even faze me. My wife has lived in the same town since she was 2. She knows everyone and everyone knows her. It seems odd to me. I currently live in a small town and I honestly hate it. People know my name, it's kind of unnerving because I don't know theirs. Small town life is not for everyone. After I went off to college, I never came back really except to visit my family. Also, I realized I wasn't as weird or different as I thought. Everyone in my hometown is just way too similar. And judgy if you choose not to conform. A year ago, me and my partner were addicted to drugs, living in a little room, depressed with no motivation, so we just up and left. Today we are in our own place in the country with steady jobs and I have never been happier. I'm extremely happy for you. I congratulate you. I congratulate you on congratulating them. Hey you, where are you going? Don't leave without my congratulations on your congratulations for that other congratulations. Congratulations on your change of life. You should be very proud of yourselves for being sober with steady jobs. Not an easy thing to do, but you both did it. Yay. Sadly, I'm in the same shoes you were in. As someone who was shooting up $200 to $500 a day in Oxy before I quit around 10 years ago, you really have to do 2 things if you really are at the stage that you want to quit. The first is very hard, but unlike the first person, staying around the same people you're around usually just does not work. So much of your kinship with those people revolving around drugs will make you want to drugs even if you stop for a while. You have to just go no contact with them. It's the only way I found any success. The second one, which is also just as hard for some people, is you have to get help. Real help, like replacement treatment, Suboxone or methadone, and therapy. You have to realize going in that the replacements are just as bad, but they do one thing that's essential. They let you normalize your life and take away the seeking drugs all the time mentality. Without that, it's very hard for therapy to work through all this stuff simply because your mind isn't in a state that it can be worked on. It's constantly starving for something it sees as food now and will not stop wanting more to approach where the addiction is coming from. Edit for people asking how I afforded this. I sold them to afford it, and I didn't do that large of an amount for very long, about 6 months. The majority of my addiction was $40 to $80 a day. It was also just more of I was able to do that and it fell in my lap than it was I actively earned it. I just found a much better connection than anyone else I knew had. The people I hung out with were all girls or people who sold crap themselves, so it was easy to do once I had that. This is excellent advice, and I'm glad you were able to do these things for yourself. I don't know you, but I'm proud of you and sending you love. This is exactly what I did. My abusive ex and I had split. I lost my job and moved home with nothing to lose. I got clean at the start of the pandemic, but relapsed after being in the hospital and on pain meds. So, I went in the methadone program against every fiber of my being. It is great short term, as you said, to help stabilize your life. Long term, physically it can be just as bad as what you're coming off of. It gave me a chance to do therapy and rebuild my life. I'm clean and now have my own apartment, am seeing a wonderful man, and changed career fields to my dream job after waitressing for 15 years and teaching for 5. There is hope, you just have to be willing to put in the work. It took me a long time to get there, but I am so glad I did. Congrats on the place and sobriety edit, thank you for my first awards. If you just up and move to a place where you don't know anybody, you have a way better chance of getting off drugs. If you change your environment, your brain has to create new pathways to adapt. A ton of the soldiers shot up heroin in Vietnam, but nearly none of them did when they came back for the same reason. If I had a nickel for everyone I met in FL at rehabs who moved back home and OD'd, I'd have several dollars. Nice, congrats to you both. 3 years ago I moved from London, UK to Alberta, Canada. Best decision of my life. London is a very lonely city, especially when you're introverted. I never made any real close friends, and it's so insanely expensive that even with a great job I didn't have much money left to go out and enjoy life. And I lived in a small, awful shared apartment where the only space to myself was a probably 20 square foot room or smaller. It is an amazing city, but it didn't work for me. Since being in Alberta, I've made some close friends and met the love of my life. I finally have savings and a realistic prospect of buying a house one day. I live in a huge, 2-bedroom apartment by myself. I live near the Rockies, so I do a good amount of hiking. I've been tubing and ice skating with friends. Pre-COVID I started going to a new gym, and on the first session had people saying hi, probably could have been friends if COVID hadn't hit. Not to mention it's so sunny. The cold is extreme, but I will never miss the grey and rain of England. I moved here with a 2-week Airbnb reservation, $5,000 to survive off, and no real plan, no jobs prospects. Just the knowledge I could book a flight home if needed. Somehow it all ended up working out. Edit. I'm stupid and was tired when I wrote this, so I estimated the sides of my room in London and added instead of multiplying. The room was probably more like 70 square feet. I came here through IEC, which is a reciprocal working holiday program for young people that many countries participate in. The US doesn't participate. This post was very black and white. London is really amazing. I had a lot of great times there. I do miss a lot, but ultimately it wasn't for me. Alberta has its issues, as everywhere does, and the economy is struggling with the oil stuff. Canada isn't some utopia. I have happened to make a good life for myself here and I personally love it. But no hate on the UK, it'll always be my home and I really miss roundabouts. Awesome. Winters are a bit different, eh? Are there really wolves out there? Like free roaming? Oh yeah, they're around. But you don't really need to worry too much about wolves, it's the mountain lions that'll get you. It's the geese that you should really be afraid of. Honks threateningly. The Canadian people are nice. The Canadian geese are buttholes. If you got a problem with Canada gooses, you got a problem with me, and I suggest you let that one marinate. You know who I does have a problems with? Effin' degenerates from upcountry. Geese are to be feared anywhere in the world they exist. If I was on a plane and saw one, I'd jump out immediately. Huh, yep. Oregonian here, you don't mess with cougars. They just aren't afraid of us. May, I found avoiding eye contact and just not buying them drinks keeps the cougars at bay. I'm originally from Edmonton and left the cold for London. I've found the love of my life here and love the city and European getaways. I'm not sure I could move back, although I do miss the hiking and nature. I actually really get on with the English though, love their sense of humor and sharp wit. Definitely don't miss tipping culture. I did pretty much the exact same thing as you, down to the budget, plan and all. Except I moved to Whistler originally and settled just outside of Vancouver. Huge decision and move alone when young, but it's also worked out well so far. Got a job better than I could have ever hoped that'll allow me to visit family whenever I want, once COVID done anyway. Best of luck. I live in Calgary too. Message me if you want to talk or hang out. I've joked about moving to Canada for years. I've always wanted to live there, no idea why, as I've never been there, but I've always liked the impression that I have of the place, and anyone I've met from Canada has been so friendly. I wish I'd done this when I was younger. I've got 2 kids from a failed marriage who are everything to me, so I couldn't leave them now. I am so jealous that you made the move, but so pleased it worked out for you. I hope you're just underestimating what a 20 square foot room is. A full-size mattress is 28 square feet. If that was your room, I hope you're a dwarf. What about family back in London? Do you miss them? How do you cope with that? Not up, but this is the biggest downside to me. I also emigrated from Europe to Alberta, 11 years ago. When I left, it was no problem. I was young and mobile and only a plane ride away from home. Now we have 2 young kids, 2 dogs, etc., so traveling is already much more expensive and cumbersome. My dad got diagnosed with cancer in 2015 and died 2 years later. We tried to make it back as often as possible, but this was a very hard time. My mom is getting older and missing out on seeing her grandkids grow up. And now with Corona, I haven't been home for over 2 years. I would have never imagined that what used to be just a quick plane ride away is now so difficult. I loved living in Alberta, but this one aspect sometimes feels like a high price to pay. Alberta's a great place and home for me. Enjoy. Grab a coffee from Rosso for yourself one of these days. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.